Okay, so great to have you. Let's get right into the questions. So first, can you share with us a bit about your educational background and early career journey?
So that's interesting because my first degree was in physics and solar energy. My second degree was in sustainable energy. For some strange reason, I thought that, Nigeria was ready for things like that. And so I was gingered, I was like, yes, coming out of school, I'm going to do this. Um, let's just say I used it for advising friends and family members who ended up going into that line of business practically. But I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything because what it has taught me is sometimes you're in certain situations and in specific time to be able to achieve a specific purpose. And so going through physics and solar energy gave me like this analytical mindset that helped me in my first job, official job per se, in a KPMG. And so even going back again to get a second degree in sustainable energy, that was also helpful to make good connections and build some lifelong relationships that have helped me in my career. So, like sure you'll be wondering how did I move from there to where I am right now. So, from my first degree physics and solar energy, I did come out well. So maybe that was an indication for why I got selected some places. And so when the initial, like my desires didn't work, where I wanted to work in companies that were building sustainable or renewable energy options, I thought about it like, hey, what are the things do you want to learn in life? Three things stuck out for me. One, understanding the business. How do businesses run? How do they generate money? The second one is people management. I wanted to be involved in that space, helping people to achieve goals. I think the last thing was more learning and development. Those are things that, again, I'm my father's daughter. My father loved those kind of things. So I think it came natural to me to kind of love facilitating, leading sessions. And so when the opportunity to join KPMG came up, I was like, okay, cool. I can meet one goal, which is understanding how businesses run, getting to know how to interact with people and to build good working relationship, build network, build competencies that would outlive me. So yeah, those are the things that got me there. And then going back, leaving, and then going back to school a second time. Um, I would say that was interesting because I'm like, gosh, who told me to go back to school? Um, and so during that time in KPMG, there was an opportunity to volunteer within like an NGO. And so I initially just went to the learning and training team to because those are things that I naturally wanted to know and get better at. And so when I came back from my second degree, again, no luck in that side of renewable energy. And I had people that I'd worked with in the past who had said, "Oh, you do have some learning and development expertise. There's a role here within Andela. We're trying to set things up. Why don't you join?" I will tell you, I was skeptical because I looked up the company. It didn't really have that much to, um, write home about at that point in time.
Relatively new at the time.
Yeah, it was new. There were so many things like, when I compare it to KPMG, I'm like, okay, KPMG means stability and all. Like, I know this. That this is more or less like a crazy world. Okay, so the good thing was that people that I had worked with in the past, or someone I'd worked with in the past, was there, and based
Mhm.
on his feedback, he was like, yeah, this is somewhere I think you can grow your other skills and the things you're interested in, and that's how I got into Andela, and I moved into like evolve into different roles there as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so between transitioning from physics and renewable energy and all that into an HR role, did you have to take any courses? What did you do to be able to fit into that role?
Yes. So L&D was already part of what HR was. Um, and I had used my own personal time to grow that expertise for about 6 or 7 years prior to that time. So I had some like expertise coming in, and I'd worked before, so I had some experience as well coming into that field. But like you said, I needed to be sure that I was ready for that place or for even that phase in my life, going into like core people, management. So I went in to take a certification exam, PHRI, which is the first one. And I told myself, okay, regardless, and at that point in time, there wasn't like a full HR role available at that time, but I knew that, hey, these are the things that I wanted to do. People management, knowing how businesses run, learning and development, those are things that I knew that I was interested in. So I went to look for a place where I could learn. So I registered for a course. We went through training. We got facilitators that helped us better understand things, um, and that knowledge helped me within the first like 6 months of joining that team. And so I think that's one of the key things. One lesson I've learned: like if you don't know something, go learn about it. Um, we're not all born to be Googles, even though I'm jealous that Google has so many like resources available. But the truth is, we can only get better in time when we learn from one another and grow. And that's what I did.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. But would you say that being a tech person or having that tech background has uniquely affected your HR career, like sort of made you distinct from people without that background?
I wouldn't say so. But I would say like the truth is we're all unique in our own different ways. The way our brain like processes information is different. I agree with you. If you come from a science background, there are some things that, are logical, analytical. You're able to like place the dots faster. But I wouldn't say that that might be an advantage over someone who literally spent most of their time studying that. Because, excuse me, because the truth is our experiences shape who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Our personality as well also comes as a result of the experiences that we've had. So you might have had like a technical background, but you do have some experience doing certain things differently. So I would say we're all unique. I wouldn't say one like studying one over the other might make a difference per se, but you will learn definitely some life lessons coming from a tech background or from a science background.
Okay, thank you. So while at Andela, were you involved in recruitment at any point?
Yeah, but I can't tell you that my core responsibility was, recruiting. Yeah, I was part of the team who would like interview people, um, and help review certain things, but not like that was in my core function.
Okay, before we go ahead, let me just say something to everyone that is here. So the way this would go is we'd ask some questions, just get to know Akonam better, and then after that, we will take some other questions. When most of us were registering, we asked a couple of questions, which we have here. So we'll still go over those questions and also get questions from the audience. So I mean, if you have any questions in the course of this, you can just take note of it. And then in the second section, we're going to take those questions. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, so really, this is just on the side, like a bonus. In the times that you had to do recruitment, right, for some technical roles or some technical roles, what would you say is the most common mistake you came across from candidates?
Um, hmm. Yeah, so I think there were just different things that happen at different times. Um,
Okay.
yeah, there are some people that, their CVs or their cover letter was so great. Um, but I don't know if it was like fear or anxiety, and they come into the session and they can't really deliver on what they said they had done. Um, so those factors were there. The other is more of, let's say, how do I put this now? Not being able to tie their achievements in such a way that you can understand. Some people are so carried away in their tech knowledge that they fail to understand. Not every recruiter is most likely knowledgeable in those things.
Exactly.
And so you just come into the room and you're like, hey, and the person is trying to like get that. I mean, some people would ask you, but the truth is, somebody has to dig in to understand you without you just being like open and straightforward with it. Sometimes it could be like
They put
a
on.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a number of things, to be honest. I think one thing is, be intentional, know what you want, and let your CV speak to it and then prepare ahead of time so that you're able to translate that as well into what you have. And the reason I said know what you want is that you also have people that will come in and apply for like 5 different roles with 5 different trajectories.
They're trying
Um,
to increase your chances.
no, I get like if so. So let me give you an example where that might help. Like you in your maybe your career aspirations, you want to be a product lead, right?
Okay.
Um, you see roles within that space and you apply for it. Now, it's easy for the recruiter to see, oh, okay, this person is actually tuning towards this, right? And you know your capabilities. Like, you don't,
Okay.
someone doesn't, you can't just, so for example, let me give you an example. Someone has 2 years of experience, and then, an organization is looking for a regional, let's say, manager who has like 10 years experience. You clearly know you don't have that, either in your volunteer experience or in your professional experience. None of that make up, but you just apply because you just wanted to. After a while, it starts to make people think, are you really sure you know what you want?
You
Um,
want.
yeah, then it doesn't become positive for you in that point. It becomes something that people start wondering, like, are you going to be here for a while? Are you going to just be looking for different things to jump to? Yeah.
Interesting. So like in aiming at your dream job, I think one important thing is for you to really decide this is what I want to do. And even if you can't be specific down to a role, you can be specific to a kind of role to say, oh, okay, it's product
Right,
lead or
correct.
product specialist. Okay, that's very helpful.
I think
Um,
one thing that is common though, not just for tech roles, is also like if you have a gap in doing your experience here, explain it. Try to have some like explanation so that people don't think, oh, you just fell off the face of the world. Um, and again, volunteering is also something you can do. Like if you volunteer somewhere and you use that time to volunteer or to learn, put it there so that people know that, oh, okay, you didn't just like lose touch of what's happening around within the space or the labor market of things around your career focus.
I was going to ask though, like, does volunteering experience really count? Like, I mean, to be candid, right? If a recruiter is considering your years of experience and you're saying, oh, you have volunteered for this long, does it really count in making a decision about the candidate?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's some organizations that value that. And if the experience you have ties into that area of focus and something that you have been doing like diligently, then yes, it may count. But if you're going to some roles that some of those things don't, I would say use that as an opportunity to highlight transferable skills that you have learned. Or to even like cover, like I said, there will be gaps in people. Like, for example, 2020 is a divine year. So you're gonna have people that have multiple gaps. But I think what people want to see is what do you do with that time? So if you did volunteer and you use most of your time to volunteer and you did something, be freelance, put it there. Now these are the things you did. Um, like I said, it could be helpful. It depends on the industry, and some people might not value it. But some international companies will see that as an opportunity to highlight your need to constantly grow, constantly evolve, constantly get better, and that will be a plus for you.
Thank you. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So also, I'm talking about the tech industry now specifically, right? I mean, the industry is a bit flexible, like compared to some other industries, like maybe consulting, professional services, and some older industries to say. But do you think that, and you know, a lot of people say that in the tech industry, it's your experience that counts, whatever you can do practically that counts, right? So what's your take? Do you think that degrees and certifications still play a role in the tech space, or is it just your experience? For instance, somebody that read economics or physics will just go to a Microsoft Learn, for instance, and take a course for 6 months in Azure Fundamentals, and then get a role. So, do you think that degrees and certifications still play such a big role in recruitment in tech space, or is just whatever you can do?
Yes and no. Again, um, yeah, because different companies vary in different ways.
Okay.
Um, and as much as I mean, the educational system in Nigeria is not the best, the truth is, it gives you some. like a little foundation to kind of like go into the market where you're learning about things, you're analytical, they help you understand processes, depending on the course you've learned, right? For someone who's gone through a course online and has been able to get a job, the truth is that knowledge the person got from that will I say certification or online course
Online program.
merged their experience going through school would help them. The tech space has evolved, and like you rightly said, it's more of experience and certifications. However, those certifications still give you and I don't want to use certification so that we don't make it feel like it's still just PMP and every other thing. Actually, you can also just get a like go online to a site, Udemy. You can go through these courses, you can learn things, and you're able to apply it to whatever you're doing. The key thing is just keep growing, keep um, learning new things, constantly evolve. Like you notice there's so much happening in tech space. It's like you sleep and wake up and
And there's
10 things
something
are
new.
built. Yeah, a new language has come up. You're like, okay, where was I? So
Then
you
this
want,
happened.
yeah, you will constantly want to keep growing. So it's not really about certifications per se. It's about continuous learning and continuously evolving yourself.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So certifications can be important if they're relevant to what you're doing, right? So it's about constantly learning and finding ways to build on what you have. Okay, let me ask a quick question about, because I mean we got a couple of questions in that line from the feedback from we got, and then a lot of people asking, how do you know when to leave a job? So for you, it was you had to take an educational break, a study break, right? And then after the break, you got on another job. You could have gone back to KPMG, but then you went to Angela. But I mean, for someone who's on a job and who really doesn't have the intention of going back to school or anything, how do you really make that decision to leave your job and move on to the next one, or the next role, or the next organization? I know that it might not be a straight answer, but
There is not. Because
but what are the factors to consider?
I mean, I think the first, and it depends on who you are. Know
Okay.
yourself first of all, and know what your situations are. Like I can't tell you to just get up and leave your job when I don't know how you're going to raise funds to keep up or stay sane. Especially if you're living in Lagos, you need to stay sane as much as possible. And money does help you stay sane to a large extent. So the thing is, know yourself. Who are you? Where do you want to be? And I don't, so I break my thought process of reevaluating myself between 3 to 5 years. Like I just go back again and say, okay, where am I where I am? What else is interesting in my life based on the things that are happening right now in this current state? How else do I want to evolve myself? So know yourself first. What is important to you? Is it value? Is it money? Is it giving back? Is it learning? What are the things that are important to you? And if at the current state, the things that are important to you, you cannot actualize it at the place you are, then maybe you should start, thinking about it. But take some time to reflect on the impact of your decision. Some things will happen. Sometimes life will force you out of a place. Like you will keep on having things that were so like things that you did so casually and easily. You find out you're making like continuous errors. Things are just um, constantly just going out of tangents or out of course. But first of all, take time to reflect on yourself. What are your strengths? What are the areas where you need to grow? What are the things that are important to you? And one thing for me is, continuous growth and learning and adding value. If at any point in time I see that my value is not required, I'm not learning and I'm not growing, then that's a time for me to leave. But that is for me. Because those are the things that I
What's
value.
important to you?
Yeah. But you might be in a place where money is the most important thing. So if that's what it is and they're paying you the money, then maybe that's what you
If we
need.
want to stay.
Yeah. But always I can like I can advise you to leave a place when I don't know if you've learned enough from that place, enough to equip you to go into the next phase, or that you've saved enough to consider what the consequences would be of you being without a job for a while, because some of those things do happen. So it's about weighing your options, knowing where you are per time in your journey, knowing who you are, what's valuable to you.
Okay, thank you for that response. Um, Let me ask a question about people who do not have a tech background, for instance. So, I mean, like we're saying about the tech industry, it's rapidly evolving. There are new roles every day, and it's like every industry is having to incorporate a huge element of technology. So it's high in demand. And even people who are not in that space, who are non-technical, they are seeing that and then they want to jump in on it. They also want to be a part of this, movement sort of. So I mean, what would you advise somebody who doesn't have a technical background or feels like they really want to come into this technology space and transition there? So I mean, what would you say should be the first step and how should they move?
So tech is wide, and it's like you have people doing social media technology, you have people doing healthcare technology, you have people even doing like people services, HR technology. The one thing that I usually advise people, and not just in tech, is what do you want to be, and what do you want to be known for? Knowledge can be acquired. The thing is, is this something you want to do? Because the truth is, if you don't want to do this and it's just another frenzy, 1 year, 2 years down the line,
There'll
you'll
be
be asking
something new.
yourself, yeah, you will be asking yourself, who sent me? Like, I can't just come and kill myself. Let me look for something else. The truth is, education in Nigeria, like I said, is a foundation for you to learn some key basic skills, and then after that you evolve. There's so many people today that are in banking, and if they tell you that they did computer engineering, chemical engineering, like even when I was in KPMG and I was saying, oh, I studied physics, some people laughed because some of them did, genetics, zoology, and they were amazing at their job. Is this what you want to do? If it is something you feel you want to do and you're capable of doing, then I would say start your research. The different aspects of technology, like I said, which one speaks more better to you? Is it being a product lead? Is it being a UI UX lead? Is that the line you want to go? Do you want to be a developer? And even if you want to be a developer, you know that there are different kind of developers. There's front end, back end, there's DevOps.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many aspects. So make your research and find out which ones. There are even some tools online that help you even just go check your current skills, what part of tech works for you. You then determine what you're able to do per time. But I'll tell you this, knowledge can be acquired. So if you know this is what you want to do and you set your mind to it, get into communities that will help you grow. I think I was saying someone, so Benjamin Dada had worked with us in the past at Andela, and he had taken some time to write about this community. So I can share that with you, Omotoke, so people can look at it. There are
Okay,
different
thank you.
aspects. Yeah, the different aspects that you can just say, okay, let me try, find out which one works for me, and then start learning. Learning is something that I will say all the time. Keep learning, keep growing, keep evolving. If there's anything that 2020 has taught us, is that there are no stereotypes. There is
Mm.
no, there's nothing that can hinder you from doing anything. There are companies that thought, oh, remote work, it's for 200 years in the future. Everybody was forced to work remotely, and people had to learn how to even do WhatsApp calls, video calls, how to try out how to even get on Zoom. People had to learn. So learning will always be a part of your journey. But don't say I studied genetics or nursing and I can't go into tech. You could
Mm.
do medical technology, find out what works for you and find out how you
Exactly.
can relate,
Exactly.
yeah, your skills to where you want to be.
Exactly. Thank you, Akonam. Like it's so important. Like the knowledge you already have, technology is an enabler. So I mean you just need to bring it into what you already have and then you transform that field. So you don't even have to discard what you already have while trying to still learn, how you can incorporate technology into it. So yeah, knowledge can be acquired. Very, very, very important. You said something about remote jobs, right? I will still ask a question about about remote jobs. What I want to say is for because the title of this is Highway to Your Dream Job. And most of us dream jobs are very competitive, you know. It's like a million people's dream job as well. So I want to say, how does a candidate stand out really, really, as a tech recruiter to an extent? How does a candidate stand out to an organization? I know that this will also be dependent on what the organization is looking out for in candidates, but there might be general rules that apply in terms of, what is expected of a good candidate.
Of a good candidate.
Hmm.
Where do I start from? One thing I advise people, and not just in tech, is, yes, everybody wants to have a dream job. Sometimes you get to that dream job and it's not the dream you expected. So the first thing is always know who you are. What are your values? Where do you see yourself in a few years ahead of time? And what do you want to be able to achieve? What are things that motivate you? Now, one of the things that I feel has made some people stand out is, in their CV. To be honest, there's some unnecessary things that people put on their CVs. And again, it can depend on the company you are going to. Some of them might need it, but nobody wants to know. Put your marital status, you have number of kids, this is the year you were born. Some of these things are just superficial, to be honest. A recruiter wants to look at your CV and want to see your skills and your traits pop up. So even if you feel inclined to want to share those kind of things, maybe share at the bottom. But be clear to actualize your achievements, your roles in relation to the job function you're applying for. So some people have just one CV for everything. What I would advise you to do is read. So if you see a job opportunity, read what the recruiter has said they're looking for. Look at your own JD or your own CV and don't lie. I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying doctor, because there are some people that, like I said, you see their CVs and when you see them in person, it's like A and Z. But find out the things you have done in relation to what the person is looking for and document it. And if you can, maybe have one or two lines of your key achievements in relation to the things that they are looking for. Because there's really no point in you coming in to say, oh, one of your achievements, and again, if that's the only achievement you have, then put it there. No need to, show less. But if you're looking for, say, someone who's been able to build platforms, this and that, you might not have built 100 platforms, you've built 3. I've built 3 platforms that have supported XYZ and this and helped the company achieve XYZ. That is clear, that is concise, and you're able to capture people. Because put yourself in a person's shoes. The person has to read over 100 CVs. And the first thing they are seeing is local government, date of birth, number of kids. Except the rule says the person must be from this place, and that's what you're trying to target. Some of those things are not necessary. So position yourself well, and also proofread. I can tell you that even people who have very excellent written and nonverbal communication will make some mistakes from time to time. So proofread. If you're able to get someone else to read it and the person can understand what you're trying to say, then that's good. Your LinkedIn profile is also helpful. Clean up your LinkedIn profile. Again, don't lie. Don't sell something that is not true. Because when it's time for you to deliver on that, you may not be able to. Build on your network. Sometimes even just offer to do things, will I say voluntarily? Just say hi. I'm like I said, 2020. Like if you go to LinkedIn, there's some people that have said, "Look, I lost my job. This is what I've been able to do. I'm open to paid or unpaid opportunities so that I can grow." And see the number of people that jumped at that. So be bold. That is what I would say. And oftentimes, like I said, you might want a job that you feel is your dream job, but when you get into that job, that dream gradually fades away. So know who you are, know where you want to be, know how you want to get there. But positioning yourself, people will see your resume and your cover letter first, and they can also check you up on LinkedIn. And if they see people that they know knows you, they can always oh, how is this person? So again, your personality also needs to be able to speak outside of just like a face to face.
What you said about your dream job might not be your dream job eventually when you get in, really. So is it okay to maybe look up people who work there and try to chat them up? Is that advisable?
It's advisable, but don't stalk people. I would say that. Yeah, because sometimes people just come to you like, hey, I see myself working here, and um, without even getting to know this person, like just even say, hi, I see you work in this place, and I'm building my career in this light. Are there key things that you would help someone who's aspiring to get
Mm,
here know ahead of time? Just be plain. Don't be like over in the person's face. And then if the person responds to you, I mean, super good. And then you can keep that, say, oh, I appreciate this. Thank you for this, but still try and keep that information or that connection going so that it's not only when you need help, and if the
I
person
keep
is
coming back.
willing, yeah, the person willing to say, hey, can we have this conversation over like a virtual coffee just to talk about this better? And are you open to answering some questions? And if you feel and if you, I understand your schedule is busy, but I'll deeply appreciate it just to help my growth. Like, put yourself out there. To be honest,
Mm, put yourself out there. Very important.
easier
Thank you
said
so
than
much.
done, but trust
Yeah,
me,
right.
it does help. I will
But
tell
try.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, we've said a lot already on this first session. So, like I said, in the second round, we'll be taking the questions that people have asked, and we'll also be taking questions from the audience. But before we go into, thank you. Somebody saying nice session. Thank you, Oluwatosin.
Thanks, Susie.
So we have 28.8% saying I'm neither here nor there. 14.3 saying it's okay. I'm satisfied. It's what I need for now. 28.6% saying I absolutely love my job. It's a dream come true. Wow, that's amazing. And then 28.6 say I'm not working at the moment. Fantastic. Thank you, Favor. Please, you can take down the polls. I mean, so we have a very good what now? Job health, or what would I say? I mean, most people are satisfied and excited, although we have a few people who are indifferent. Ivy, what do you have to say about indifferent on your job? Though?
I was about to comment on that. And the question is why? Why are you indifferent? Because how do I say this now? You know how they say silence is also a response? That's basically what it is. It's like you don't know, and that's the reason why I'm saying why. Because if the reason you are indifferent is because you're tired of talking, you shared feedback, nothing seems to be changing, then you are actually dissatisfied with it, but you just don't realize it. Or is it that, oh, I'm new, I don't really know what's happening around here as much as I would want to. Let me take some time. So maybe you're that kind of indifferent. And if you're that kind of indifferent, then you want to know more about the organization. But like I said, if it's the first, then you are just dissatisfied. But somehow, our culture doesn't really permit us to be that negative in quotes. So we try to be mild about it. They're obviously dissatisfied.
Mm. Okay, somebody's saying something, responding to indifference, and this person is saying maybe because I used to love it, it was a dream come true at first, and then it changed. The pressure became too much. I love the work I do, but I also want to have a life. Ooh la la.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot of people's situation actually.
Yeah. I think when you were growing up, you're like, I want to be old, I want to grow, and then adult life hits you, and you're seeing bills,
My husband is
responsibilities,
a
and
scam.
you're like, wow, why didn't they tell me this while I was young? I was even teasing my friend a few weeks ago, 2 weekends ago. She's like, "How are you feel?" I said, "I just want to go into a place where I can sleep the whole day. I have money. I don't have to work. I just sleep because at this point in time." This I don't
what I
like
would do.
playing some funny tricks on me that I don't know. Um, but the other thing is also speak with your team. I don't know the culture in your organization, so I can't really speak so much to this. But speak to your team lead. And you also need to have a pause button yourself, especially now that people are working remotely. One of the things that is very, very easy to happen is you get into so much stress and so much like pressure because you don't know when to close your laptop. It's easy when you're going to work because I mean before you get to work you do all of your stuff because you're home, you get to work, and then when you're leaving work, you know, for the most part you're leaving most of the things that pertain to work with you. But now that you're
Mhm.
home, everything is
Exactly. The work
in the
never
same space.
stops.
One of the things I'd advise people, I wrote about it, was have a workspace, have a time where you can work, and then have a time where you close. Try not to use your bed as your workspace because then your brain doesn't understand, is this where I will sleep or is this where I'm going to work? Like what's happening here? But have a place you commute, even if it's 2 3 steps away from your bed, and just a floor, a yoga mat, is a small table where you can walk. You know that yes, once I'm in this place, I'm in the zone. Have that structure. And try as much as you can to share these concerns with your team to say, okay, I promise I'm going to be diligent within this and this time. I'll deliver what I need to do. I will be responsive. I'll do this from this time. Could we come to some understanding so I can focus on my family, focus on my health? I have time to even like do other things. And I think those are things that people can understand, especially in like I said, this year has broken all
Everybody has
kinds of,
learned.
yeah, you learn. And I don't think anyone's going to be calling you at weird hours, except maybe you failed to do what was supposed to do, or your company culture is just way out of this world. But do share this concern with people you're working with so that they also know not to send you something. Because sometimes too, we also send indirect cues to people. If I send you a message by 10 today and you respond, I send you again. I send a message again by 10 tomorrow, you respond. You indirectly told me that that's convenient for you to respond without you literally telling me so. And I might have been sending it to you because I don't want to forget. But I'm like, hey, when you get time, do this. You can commit to say, okay, sure, I'll do this, first in the morning. Or if you're on Slack, you can snooze Slack. Please don't snooze it during when you're supposed to be working. Snooze it when you're supposed to have left work so that you don't become irresponsible as well. But have those breaks and have those boundaries to a large extent and see if that works.
I actually think that for a lot of us, with the dream job is not just about maybe the money or the benefits that come with the job. It's also about the flexibility and the freedom to live the life that you choose. So I mean, if you're feeling like you don't have a life, like it's something you really need to look into, right? And take action about.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, sometimes adult life is adult life. You can
Right.
just you have responsibilities as well. So there are some days that will feel like, why am I here? And there are some days will be like, yay, I'm proud and happy to be here. So there will be ups and downs. But if you're constantly in that state of fatigue, one of something's gonna happen, something's gonna give you either breakdown, you fall ill or something. So be honest with your team regarding what your work schedule looks like.
Thank you very much, AK. Okay, so let me just take a couple of questions we have. I'll also be looking in the comments, so if anyone is dropping a question, I'll take it as well. Someone says, how does one determine the tech role suitable for them to build a career in?
I think this goes back to the initial the question you asked when someone had asked, how someone who didn't study computer sciences into or didn't study tech
Mhm,
into tech.
mhm.
So going back to that is what are your strengths? What are you able to do? And some of these things could be in things that we didn't actually or we don't even usually track, right? So I'll give you an example. Oftentimes again, Nigeria is not a place where people go see psychologists or psychiatrists, but sometimes if you do get to talk to people like that or even talk to a coach, they would ask you certain questions. What are you good at? What are the things that, if they wake you up in the morning or any day, anytime, that you love to do, what would it be? You could just say solving puzzles. Some people have, someone had literally told me clean up data, which I found very, and then I'm like, okay, I thought I was a nerd, but obviously somebody's has exceeded that level. Um,
Really?
I mean, for someone like that, maybe, yeah, maybe machine learning might be something that this person should be looking at,
Mm.
or even data analytics. If those are things that delight you, like you see numbers and you already can, you know, put,
See a picture.
yeah, paint a picture with numbers. You're already like you most likely want to explore that. Again, if you're somebody who, while you're thinking of a process, you're already thinking about the processes involved and the end result. Maybe you should actually be thinking about being a software developer or a product lead, because those are, your mind is already conditioned in a way that will help you succeed in those roles. If you're kind of person that you see a plain sheet and you're not really sure how to read it, but by the time you put different colors or you're able to depict them in certain groups, link things, then maybe you should be a UI UX developer. And again, these are just like random,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
correlations, but you know yourself, you know what your strengths are. And if you're in doubt, you do have people that know you, right? You have Google Forms. Just send a message. Hey, if what are the key strengths you've seen in me? What are the areas of development you see in me? And be open and honest. And don't, you can make it anonymous so that people can tell you what they want to do. I did that a few years ago and it was really helpful with my friends, which is, hey, tell me what are the key strengths you see in me? What are the key areas of growth that you believe that I should get better at? And if there was any job in the world you feel like I can do and I would crush it, what would it be? I mean, I had friends who had said I'll be POTUS. I'm like, okay, in I'm hanging on to that by faith. Um, you know, but the other things I could see where they were going to. There were some things that stood out and there was a trend. And there were some things that, even areas for improvement, I could definitely see the trend. And even though I felt, oh, I don't, is that really true? If you take some time back to reflect, you definitely see why people would say those kind of things if you're open and honest about it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so another person is asking, how do I get mentored by women doing well in the area I want to specialize?
Social media, find them. Yeah, and I say this because they are no longer, like, I don't know how many times I'll say this. 2020 is a year of awakening. There are people online that are doing the things that we're doing. As is often said, there's nothing new under the sun. So somebody must have done it.
Mm-hmm.
All it boils down to is, are you willing to reach out to them? Again, reaching out to them doesn't automatically mean that they will respond. Another thing you can do is also read about them online. What did they do? What were the things that what routines or what habits did they develop and evolve over time that you also need to be able to, like, if you know that these are the skills that help them be who they are, then maybe you should, right? Explore how you can get better at it. I think it was even, I can't remember what organization did this last year, but there was an organization, I think I can't find them. I think it was Pulse or Zikoko or Tech About. One of those teams did a highlight on women in tech. And why I love
Tech
that is,
Women Lagos.
sorry, who?
Tech Women Lagos. I
Thank
think it
you.
was, yeah, that's what they call.
Yes. You could see that they didn't just highlight only developers. They highlighted people who were in different industries that were leveraging technology to a very large extent and were doing good at it. So if you feel, oh, I don't know if I'm a software developer, it's fine. There were social media technologists there, there were medical technologists, UI, UX, product leads. Those are people that you can literally send message to or messages to rather. And if, like I said, they may or may not respond to you because if you think about the population in Nigeria and people also sending messages to them, um,
Yeah.
you also, and they also have life and real-time full-time jobs. Some of them will own organizations, so the possibility of them responding that fast might be slim, but you have stories about them and their lives that you can learn from and grow. But technology has really made this really, really accessible.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you might not be certain that they'll respond, but you want to take that chance and try to even reach out yourself. Also, we'll get that list promise to share about the communities that they can be part of. So, I mean, we'll share that across email if that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody's asking, how do I transition from customer service to product management? This is quite specific.
Okay, so find the correlation between those two. What does a customer service rep do? And what does a product manager, product lead do? Two things that are evident is one, they solve problems, right? And the other is they're able to see things from start to finish. If you're able to do that, then that's the first start for you. The other thing is what courses online can you learn from? Because solving problems as a customer service rep and solving problems as a product lead often come from different perspectives. As a customer service person, I'm in your face, I'm right there in front of you, and I'm trying to solve it. As a product lead, I'm looking at what you might not even be asking for, but you need.
Mm.
And I'm trying to make it in such a way that is as easy for you and for 100 other people to be able to use that same solution and get similar responses. So you can see that one is more on the spot, immediate, and reactional. The other is more proactive. It might take some time and it might take some evolutions to get to where you need to be. But those are things that are closely tied together, closely knit together. So if you're able to make those correlations and you feel those are things you can do, then you can start building your proficiencies. Look for courses online, look for communities you can join, look for someone in that field who you feel might be able to give you a lending hand, maybe for a mentor for a month, or somebody who has within your same space and similar stories that you can learn from, from a distance. But regardless of how it is, always look for opportunities to learn yourself, like in person, and then get social learning, and then find a place where you can practice those skills. It might be a pay cut, it might be a volunteer experience, but find somewhere that you can practice what you've learned. Experience is really key.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Just like you said, both roles are, I mean, there are lots of similar uh, job descriptions sort of between both roles, because as a product manager as well, you need to be able to understand the customer, understand the needs of the customer, and then design products to meet those needs. So, I mean, there are a lot of skills, transferable skills, like you said, between both roles. So you want to see where the gaps are and try to take courses to fill in some of those gaps and then get started, you know. Thanks, Akonam. Somebody's asking this one. It says, which aspect of tech do you think is promising? And what aspects of tech will thrive in Africa based on your experience? I mean,
Um,
I was looking into the future there.
I know. I wish I would. I was able to do that. I mean, that's why I said I'm jealous of Google, because Google is able to make some kind of predictions that we might not be able to. The truth is, I can't say one is better than the other. And the reason why is there is a season and time for different things. You might start off somewhere right now and find out that tomorrow one new language has come up that has merged three different languages together in one, and everybody prefers that. The thing that I would say is find what you are good at and what you enjoy doing and what you believe you see yourself doing in years to come. Does it mean you continually like stay in that position? No. It means while you identify that, it now helps your learning and your growth a little bit easier. And let me clarify. So, for example, you ask a child, what do you want to be in future? Oh, I want to be a doctor. Okay, great. You get into high school, you ask the same child, what do you want to be? I want to be a banker. I want to make money. Okay. Going to university, person reads banking and finance, comes out, might not get that kind of opportunity, maybe gets an opportunity in, say, a consulting firm and is able to go into a consulting firm. Now, that person has a number of areas to specialize at. Can go into becoming like a financial advisor, a business analyst, um, different things. As the person evolves, person just has to understand, okay, which one am I better at? So that I know what courses to take and I know what learn opportunities to gravitate to and grab and learn from. Because imagine if that person is still undecided and the person keeps doing courses on financial planning, this one, that one, that one. In 5 years' time, three of those things are scrapped. Eh, You know, so like I said, find what you're good at. Know what you're able to do. There are some learning opportunities that you may not use in the future, but they will shape your experiences and make you a better person. So I can't tell you that this one supersedes this because before you know it, maybe a UI UX, um, new model or new app comes up and people are running towards it. Know what you can do, learn from it, and keep evolving over time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and most of these technologies would have their period seasons of relevance, so to speak. So it's just about you going for what you like and where you think you're going to be good at, really. So, like, there's another question here. Somebody's saying, how do you discuss salary with recruiters? I mean, I think everybody needs to know that. How do
Ah,
you negotiate and
yo.
discuss salary? Bonus question for having Akonam around.
We're all learning that same thing.
Oh, wow.
So the truth is, know what is applicable to that space. Some of these things are becoming more apparent and more easily accessible. So if you go to like a Glassdoor, you go to a Jobama, you go to LinkedIn, there's some job roles that you might be able to find the expected or average salary for that role. Now, before you start having those discussions, understand how your values or your strengths that you've highlighted are either like an equivalent match to what they're hiring for or one that exceeds. And if you know that you've checked online and you've checked like, a few resources online and you can see that, say, the average is 100 and the person is offering you a 50, you should be able to bring that up to say, and again, don't be in the person's face. The truth is, some organizations want to pay you more but can't. So be mutually respectful to that person's situation so as to understand why they came with that. And you can also, like, it's a conversation, it's not a dictatorship, it's a negotiation. So say,
Mm-hmm.
hi, could we have a quick call to discuss this? Because I do have options that I would want to share with you. And you can go on the call and you be like, based on this role and based on my capabilities, and as discussed during the interview, these are things that we have. There's a clear correlation that I'll be able to do and even exceed. And so, for example, if somebody comes up for a job and the job is, say, 2 years experience in this, and you have 3 or 4, and you've been able to do other things that will be helpful for that, we can use that as leverage. Say, I believe that with my years of experience, I'll be able to add value in this regard. And based on the information I've seen online, this role, an average compensation for this role is XYZ. Um, but I see the organization is doing this. Is there an option to make this? I mean, people will say no because they also have targets again, but let them know that I'm willing to take this job, but I do need to be sure that I am adequately compensated for it. And yeah, and this is the information I have that I'm going with. So I'm putting it forward to you to see what changes can be made. Some people can make it, some people might just maybe increase it a bit. At least that's some win for you. Some may not. And that's the reality of it. Because like I said, some companies cannot afford to. And you can also now ask, okay, if you're not able to do this, what other benefits, what other areas can the company meet me on your halfway? Is it like giving me a learning budget? Is it covering for my LinkedIn premium coverage? At least with that, you can learn on your own. So it's not always about money. Find out if there's any other thing again that can be
Yeah.
offered.
Mm. Thank you, Akonam. So I don't see any other questions here. I will just take one more question here because of time. If
Sure.
anyone else has a question, let me know so I can take it from the comments instead of there. Okay, so the last question I'll take from here. Somebody's asking, please, where can I get internship experience?
Um, okay, like most of these things are easily accessible online, but I do know about Student, and there's another one that I found out of recent that specifically more in line with tech or something intern. I don't know. I will find that and I will send that to you. Because I saw some comments, like some good reviews or the kind of people that came out from there, and it was helpful. So the good thing is some of these things are like Student it's really known. Most people
Yes.
know Student. But this other new one I will share with you. How much okay. I did see it and
Thank you.
I saw that the reviews were actually good.
Okay, but what do you say about approaching any company for internship? Is there a way to go about that? Like technique with
I don't think I'm the best person to advise you on that. However, I would say if you have people that you can always, again, and I'm saying this thing because with a pinch of salt, like some people's financial issues will always cloud them from taking, or might cloud them, not always, might cloud them from taking
something.
unpaid opportunities. And I don't want people to feel bad about that. Like if your money is necessary, it's necessary. Like Lagos is an expensive place to live in. So also consider your own current situations. But if there are opportunities where you can start off with an unpaid internship, let people know that, hi, I'm new in this field. I'm trying to grow my expertise and I'm looking for a place to intern. If I'll be happy to be paid, but if the company doesn't have that at this point in time, I want to do like a month or 2 months internship or even 3 months internship with them. So leverage on your contact, leverage on LinkedIn, have your CV in such a way that somebody can see it in one page or two. And you can always say, this is a copy of my resume for your review. I'll be happy to reach out to you over a virtual call if you're open to it. Some people may answer you, some people may respond, some people may not. But to be honest, I found that more people will at least tell you, oh, there are no opportunities right now. However, maybe you can try this place. Like you would I don't think you would lose anything from trying that. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much. It's been such a learning session. I mean, so much insight and wisdom from you. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say that we haven't asked any question around. Any final words in summary?
So I wrote down some things that I wanted to share because, like I said, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. 2020, I can never forget. That's what I can tell you. I read about something this week, and I think it's worth sharing, which is there's some 5 things you need to know if you are either considering a job change or you are considering to evolve into a new career. One is embrace change. People say they love change, but that change process can really, really be a painful one because it can demystify the things that you're used to or you're confident doing and make you start seeing things in a new light. So be welcome to embrace change. Again, it wouldn't be all rosy, but it will definitely be something that you look back on and you're like, oh wow, this was what the journey. The second thing is develop self-confidence. No one can tell your story better than you do. But if you're not able to translate that into a story that people can resonate with, then it's going to be a tough time trying to sell who you are, what your strengths are, and the areas where you're struggling with or you seek to grow. So try to build it. Get someone who can help. Get an accountability partner. Get someone who you trust to be able to walk through this journey with you, to be able to work with you on this. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, maybe in very clear, more clearer terms, is be a hungry learner.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just sit down and say, oh, I'm great, I'm here, I'm in my dream job finally, haters gonna hate, people are gonna say it's Photoshop. At that point in time, you need to get someone that will help you stay in that place and even grow. And you can only do that when you are a hungry learner. And hungry learners are people that, welcome feedback. They don't brush it off to say that's how I was born. There are things that can change. Be a hungry learner and be open to learning from people and situations that you least expect. Always come out from each experience, asking yourself, what have I learned from this and how do I get better? Improve constantly, which is similar to the previous point. Don't just settle. And the good thing is, in the space of tech, you'll be forced not to settle, because if you're still on one language, for example, I'll tell you, when I was in school, I learned like programming through Fortran. If I had
Gotcha.
said that was one of the things that made me decide, okay, this is not my journey, this is my career path. So if if you learn Fortran and you're holding on to it, Fortran was what NASA started with, I'm gonna keep this, it's fine. That foundation is good. But if you stick with that, obviously by now that you're already
Yeah.
out of the
Out of
tech space.
market.
Yeah. So you definitely, maybe you want to be a lecturer in one place where Fortran is still considered something, you can hold on to that. The last thing I want to say is reinvent. If you see, or if you come to a point in your life where you're wondering, okay, why am I still here? Is this really where I want to be? Take some time to reflect and find out again what you're good at, where you need to grow, how you can grow, and explore new things. One, I'm a good, like, if there's anything people will tell you, is I always push people to volunteer. Because in volunteering, you meet people outside your space. It gives you a better, like a new understanding of life and how different people have different experiences. You might feel, oh, I know Excel, it's a no brainer. Some people are struggling to understand that. And if you are able to give back, you're able to learn, you're able to reinvent yourself, you're able to see new aspects of yourself that you didn't realize you had available, or you were able to exhibit. So keep reinventing yourself, um, and find ways to always be, you know, someone else's, super story, or someone else's motivation, yeah, as the case may be, because we're all here to build someone else and even to learn from others. So that's it in a nutshell. Sorry, a very
Thank
long nutshell.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's so many key takeaways. I mean, I think one important one is that irrespective of where you are on your tech journey, whether you're just starting or you're trying to switch jobs, learning is key. You have to continue learning and reinventing yourself, putting yourself out there and just giving yourself a chance, you know. Thank you so much. Thank you, Akonam, for the time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I hope it has been insightful for you as much as it has been for me. So, yeah, we're going to keep in touch. We're going to send all the materials that Akonam has promised to share with us. And, yeah, we'll get them across to you. Akonam, is there a way people can reach you? Is there a
Well,
way
I'm on
where
LinkedIn. Think some people already reached out to me prior to now. Sorry if I haven't responded. I will surely respond this weekend now that I have a breather. And it was a pleasure being here, Omotake. Thanks for the invite.
thank you very much for accepting the invite.